Welcome back to Lake Norman as we're in Denver, North Carolina for round number 10 of the APBA National Watercross Tour. And we come back to more of Moto number 2 for Pro-Am Runabout Open. And King D, Dustin Farthing, going for his second consecutive Moto win. And he'll probably be the first one to tell you he's not pleased to be running in lap traffic. He loves the smooth water. Eric Francis, who's back there in third, has had a tough go of it this season, but he's trying to turn a negative into a positive here in 2009.
I'd say I stepped up the game a lot, having to ride a stock ski all year. I've had to ride a lot harder. And riding harder doesn't always help, but I'm learning how to make it work. And, definitely say learned a lot from a lot more passing this year, a lot more struggles. Because every year's not going to be perfect. It's nice to have something, even though it's a bad year, I'm still top 3 in points, so it's not the end of the world.
So, Dave, like the proverbial saying goes, turning lemons into lemonade, that would be Eric Francis. And now Dustin Farthing, check him out, washing down the rider and behind him. So we saw King D a lap ago, not very pleased to be stuck in lap traffic. Usually that blue flag comes out that'll indicate on the race course for that rider who's the lapper to move out of the way. But that rider wasn't doing it, and Dustin Farthing here on replay, you can see, just washed him down.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, he did a great shot, and Dustin's going to let you know he wasn't too pleased to get in his way. He deserves to be in that position for a reason. He's good.
So Dustin Farthing able to give Dennis Mack a shower along the front stretch, sprayed him down.
I think that was Dustin's way of saying, hey, but, he let him know, hey, I'm getting by you, and, nothing you can do about it. And, D-Mac, I know he's going to try and come back, even though he's a lap rider. He's going to push him a little harder.
Dustin Farthing, he's averaging about 78 miles per hour on the race course, Dave, so turning out some huge speeds as he's well on his way to sweeping both motos here in round number 10. And he's going to be tough to beat, Dave. If you look at the season in terms of the Nationals and the World Finals, you figure Craig Warner's going to be back, and then some of the European riders and also the riders from down under.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's going to be a heated battle, and, this is a great way. Dustin's been able to do a lot of testing, try and work those bugs out of the machine or gremlins, and I can tell you, it's really starting to work. And Arminio and Tosca, he talked to us about running in second and told us the challenges.
It looks, not as bad, but when you're out there, it gets really rough, and especially on the back and all the boat traffic. So yeah, going to put some more fuel in it, maybe a little bit of weight, and just try to figure out everything and get it going for the next race.
So Arminio, another rider, talking about how challenging this race course is, Dave. You figure on a lake, it's not going to be that rough, especially watching from the shoreline as we get this onboard perspective from Eric Francis. And boy, is he being tossed around Lake Norman. But after watching Myrtle Beach earlier this season, Dave, you figure every other race would be a walk in the park as we see Dustin Farthing closing in on his second moto win. But that's not the case, particularly along that back stretch. It is really rough back there, Dave.
Oh, yeah, in the afternoon. I mean, it's a little wind chop, too, but the boat traffic, it gets sloppy. It's not a deep lake around the shoreline, so you get a lot of that slap back. And, it makes it really rough and makes these conditions for these racers difficult in picking your lines.
So with the white flag out, 1 lap to go for Dustin Farthing, trying to sweep both motos. Arminio Iantasca, second place here in Moto number 2. That's on the heels of a second place showing in Moto number 1. And a couple of lap riders separating Farthing from Iantasca, both Robert Greenwald, who was in 4th in Moto 1 and 4th here in Moto number 2. And then you have Dennis Mack, a 7th and running 5th here in Moto number 2. So Dave, Arminio Iantasca will solidify his spot second in the points, but it looks like he will now fall further behind Dustin Farthing in terms of the points chase. And it doesn't look like anybody's going to catch him heading into Nashville.
Yeah, Dustin looks like he's just going to pedal this one. He's got this wrapped up, the checkered flag. He slaps the boat, shows why he's number 1, and that's going to give him the overall. But, Arminio, great showing there. So, hey, hats off to him, too.
My Kawasaki Ultra 260, it's an amazing ski in the rough water, staying hooked up, and, gave me the distance, and then I was able to overcome the little problems and, take the win again.
And before we close out racing from Denver, North Carolina, let's take a look at highlights from Pro-Am Runabout Stock. Chris McCluggage comfortably on top of the points chase, despite not being here, racing in Denver, North Carolina. As we go now to Moto 2 highlights, and on the heels of Guy Greenland from Australia winning the opening moto, he would go for the clean sweep, but Eric the Outlaw Lagopoulos would have something to say about it as he would slam the door shut on the Aussie and force him to miss that green commitment buoy at the top end of the race course. So the Outlaw, on the heels of a 5th place showing in Moto 1, would have smooth sailing as he would get the whole shot. We watch the start once again on replay. If you pay attention to the top right part of your screen, you'll notice how Eric Lagopoulos squeezes Guy Greenland out, forcing him to miss the buoy. Guy Greenland would be penalized and later finish 7th in this second moto. But the outlaw himself, Eric Lagopoulos, he'd be the first across the finish line, so a 5th and a 1st would give him the overall here from Denver, North Carolina, as he would record the overall win. Unfortunately for Guy Greenland, with the penalty, he would slip to 7th in Moto 2, and he would drop to 5th overall for round number 10.
I'm so excited for my Riva-backed Sea-Doo here. It's so great to put Sea-Doo on top again. You know, they got the greatest boat here in the stock form, and I'm just glad I could pull it across the finish line first and show these guys what Sea-Doo's all about.
Well, 10 rounds of racing now in the books, and all that awaits all the competitors, a final double points round from Nashville, Tennessee. So on behalf of Dave Arnold, our entire crew, I'm Ian Howard saying so long. We'll see you next time right back here on the water.
It's full